In a story from Axios, they claim that Trump has, I believe twice, called upon dropping a nuclear bomb or firing an ICBM into a hurricane to disrupt it. First, let me just say that won't do anything because I think the blast radius of like a standard ICBM might be like, I could be wrong, but what is it like, 7 or 8 miles or something? Our most powerful nukes aren't nearly as big as a hurricane, as big as South Carolina, so it would not do anything. I suppose there's like an idea of using maybe like, I don't know, 20 MIRVs. This is a multiple, what is it called? Multiple independently targeted reentry vehicles, which drop like 12 payloads at a specific area to disrupt maybe a current. But you would need that's like 200 to 400 warheads. So it makes no sense. I don't think, even at that capacity, it would have an impact on the strength of a hurricane. It's a major phenomenon we can't control. So I'll make that clear, and I'll stress. I really know. I'm not a scientist, man. Don't quote me on that. I know nothing about it for the most part, except that it doesn't work. But here's the thing: Trump claims he never said it. He claims he never said it, and this story from the Daily Wire makes a really interesting point, though I disagree with what they think is most likely. They write, "Did Trump suggest nuking hurricanes to identify leakers?" There's something that I really want to do this because I love talking about the concept of coloring the water. This is a trick used to figure out who is leaking information. And in this instance, the assumption is, or the argument, that Trump purposefully told people insane things, so when the story came out, he would know exactly who did it. I'll explain this concept moving closer to the end. We'll come back to this. Here's the thing. They point out how Trump says crazy things all the time and stands by it, even posting memes. So why would he deny this? I think the simple solution is someone misinterpreted the president. Maybe he made a joke, maybe he didn't say it at all, and it's fake news. So actually, let's read this. So I'll show you what Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire has to say, and then I want to talk about the concept of coloring the water, and I've made a video about this before. Before we get started, go to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a bunch of ways you can do it. The best thing you can do, just share this video so that I can overcome this deranking from YouTube. Seriously, man. The growth of my channel, it's very obvious that at a certain point they shifted how the algorithm works because they're being berated by ideologues lying about how YouTube radicalizes people. And YouTube keeps saying they don't, but they will bend the knee in 2 seconds. That means if this content is good, word of mouth is the best thing I can do. Share it if you like it. Otherwise, whatever. I don't deserve it. Knowles writes, President Trump refuted reports Monday morning that he wants to bomb hurricanes. The story by Axios that President Trump wanted to blow up large hurricanes with nuclear weapons prior to reaching shore is ridiculous, he tweeted in the third person. I never said this, just more fake news. The billowy airs of Andrew, Katrina, Sandy, and Irma can breathe a sigh of relief. Copy editor, guys, come on. On Sunday, Axios reporter Jonathan Swan and Margaret Talev published the scoop that President Trump plans to unleash nuclear weapons on the weather. President Trump had suggested multiple times in senior Homeland Security and national security officials that they explore using nuclear bombs to stop hurricanes from hitting the United States, according to sources who have heard the president's private remarks, they wrote. Axios went on to acknowledge that Trump didn't invent this idea, and the idea keeps resurfacing in the public even though scientists agree it won't work. As early as 1935, after a hurricane ripped through the Florida Keys, a group of Chamber of Commerce executives suggested bombing storms as a preventative measure. The U.S. Bureau broached the question again in 1950, but with Cold War underway, warned the public not to waste bombs on hurricanes. A decade later, the U.S. Weather Bureau Chief Francis Reichelderfer announced plans to study the effects of bombs on storms. But high cost and uncertain fallout halted the experiment. I think a bomb can stop like a thunderstorm. I was reading something about it, but not a hurricane. Of greater interest than the president's private remarks are the sources who relayed them, and perhaps therein lies the key to this bizarre story. The report presents three distinct political possibilities. President Trump claims the reporters of the sources made it all up. I think that's possible, though I don't really believe that's likely. I mean, that's a stretch. President Trump claims the reporters or the sources made it all up. The mainstream media have fabricated stories about the president before, but in this case, the reporters stand by every word in the story. They even gave the White House press team 9 hours to respond. We can see this from Jonathan Swan, who said, I stand by every word in the story. He said this in at least 2 meetings during the first year and a bit of the presidency, and one of the conversations was memorialized. I don't know what that means. Someone saved it. Not to mention that we gave the White House press team full visibility of everything we were reporting 9 hours before publication. We published their statement in the story. Now let me ask this question. Who cares? Who cares? I do not care if Trump's talking about nuking a storm. I really don't. Seriously. But I do like the idea behind coloring the water and what it means. So I'll get to that as we go to the third possibility. One more paragraph and I'll explain it. The second possibility is that President Trump really wants to nuke a hurricane, but if that were the case, why would he deny it? President Trump tends to stand by even his most outrageous ideas, as when he suggested last week the U.S. buy Greenland from Denmark. I agree. Trump is not ashamed of presenting far-fetched ideas. Look, it's in the realm of possibility to buy Greenland. It is in the realm of possibility to nuke a storm. Trump posted a meme about Trump Tower in Greenland, and he's standing by it. If Trump really said we could nuke a storm, I'd imagine he'd come out and be like, 1 nuke probably wouldn't do it, but what about 500? Maybe that would. I don't know. I think it's silly that Trump would deny something he actually wants to pursue. Trump doesn't strike me as the person who would propose something and then immediately walk back and be like, no. No, Trump strikes me as the person who's going to stand up and be like, let's blow it up. And then people will be like, that won't work. I'll be like, whatever, so what? We'll try anyway, right? He's not the kind of guy who backs down like that. But I really, really don't think this is about ferreting out leakers. That to me seems weird. They write, the third possibility seems most likely. I don't know about that. I mean, maybe. It's weird, though, that Trump raised the strange idea to ferret out leakers. For years, the president has inveighed against leakers as traitors and cowards vowing to find out who they are. How could a disgruntled staffer resist spilling news of a prospective nuclear attack on storm clouds? Just this past February, the White House suffered its worst leak yet when a staffer sent the president's private schedules to journalists. Is it mere coincidence that Axios broke that story as well? Well, that's interesting. Now it sounds like maybe it really is. This weird story breaks in Axios, so they leak some weird information, and sure enough, Axios leaks it. They say the president has a leaker on his hands. Perhaps his nuclear rhetoric targets not any seasonal deluge, but the steady drip, drip, drip of damaging press. Many of you probably understand the concept of coloring the water based on what it's called and based on the idea of what a leak is. But I love this. I love this thing. You can do this at home with your kids and it's amazing. Here's what you do. You take 5 plastic cups and you take a needle and you poke a hole in the bottom of one of them so you can't see it. And you pour water in each cup. Eventually, a pool of water will surround all of the cups, and you don't know which one is leaking unless you color each cup a different color. You put red in the first one, blue, green, yellow, orange. All of a sudden, the water at the base of the cups turns blue. You know where the leak came from now. It's a simple way to explain it, and it's a really fun thing to do, like with your family and the school. It's cool. It makes so much sense. So the idea here is that Trump would be in the presence, very privately with certain individuals, and he would say something like this: can we nuke hurricanes? That's a really great idea. I think we should do it. And someone hears that, and they run away. He then sits down with another person and says, what if we nuked Mars and the ice caps? That would be a great idea, right? That would work. Let's just do it. They run away with the information. But after Trump gives out these weird, ridiculous scenarios that someone couldn't help but leak, the story pops up in the press. Can we nuke a hurricane? And Trump chuckles to himself. And there it is. Person A. We sent them, we put the blue dye in the water, and sure enough, the blue dye is what popped up in Axios. And now they'll know who leaked Trump's schedule, or at least have a good idea of who may be leaking Trump's schedule. Now, here's the issue. When you're talking about coloring the water, you have to be careful. Because let's go back to the cup scenario. Let's say you put blue in one, and you put yellow in the other, and you put green in one, and the water on the bottom is green. It may be 2 different leakers. You just don't know. So you got to be really careful and really specific. The other issue is that you might see 2 or 3 colors. Trump may have leaked this story if that's the case. I honestly don't think Trump's doing that. I think sources might be lying or exaggerating, but that's a whole other issue. I'll give you my most likely after this. The issue is there could be multiple leakers, and you've got to figure out how to find out who they are, and I don't know. But I'll make this point. Well, actually, no. I do try to keep these segments short, so I will leave it there because the last one ran long. But I will just say my last point on this, it's likely that somebody is just being hyperbolic. Trump maybe made a joke where he was like, man, let's just drop a nuke on these things, huh? Not serious. And then somebody runs and then claims it was. You know what I mean? I think that's a simple scenario, but I'll leave it there because I do try to keep these short. I really do love the idea of coloring the water. It's a cool thing you can visualize and it makes so much sense. But I'll leave it there. Stick around. One more segment coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.